My next guest here on the Rich Eisen Show, the head coach of Stanford football, David Shaw. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great. Even better after that song. I'm a huge Blues Brothers fan.
Me too. We're on a mission from God, essentially, right?
From God.
So that means you and I should have an orange whip together in a couple of Thursdays when we're in Chicago.
We got to have another guy. Actually, need 3 orange whips.
Yes, Coach David Shaw. Yes, you have to have an extra orange whip because it's a threesome for an orange whip. No doubt about that. I'm excited. You got your suit picked out already?
I'm ready to go. I can't wait.
So what do you think's going to happen? Do you think Winston goes #1 overall, or does Mariota somehow sneak in there as the apple of Tampa's eye when it's all said and done?
You know, with absolutely no inside information, I believe it's going to be Jameis. You know, the thing is, it's a big job, and you can make a case that Marcus maybe needs a little more time to get ready, and Tampa Bay doesn't have time for somebody to get ready. They got to put the most ready-to-play football player under center this year right now, and I believe that's probably going to be Jameis.
So Mariota, you've seen up close and personal. You've seen him grow. You've seen him mature. You've seen him lead. You've seen him win. So why does he still need that extra seasoning for the National Football League if he succeeded as he did at that level, Coach Shaw?
So here's the thing with me. I'm actually in the other camp. I think he's ready. I've seen the guy for 3 years, and I'm his biggest fan that doesn't wear green or gold or white or whatever color jersey they have this week. I just think the kid is phenomenal. I think he's a leader. I don't think he's the vocal leader that people think you have to be. But when it comes down to it, nobody cares. What do you do on game day? The guy can throw it from the pocket. He can throw it on the run. He can take off and run. He's a great decision maker. He does not turn the ball over. And when it comes down to it, he's a big guy that can stand in the pocket. Like a lot of these spread offense guys, you can't really say that he can. I think this guy can stand in the pocket and kill you.
What about calling plays? What about doing the under center stuff and the play action, turning your back to the defense, turning around and reading what's happened between the moment of snapping and your moment of throwing, Coach Shaw?
And those are some of the operational things that he would have to get used to. But what I saw with this guy, and now granted not from under center, but what I saw with this guy, I saw him play action pass. I saw him go from the first read to the second read to the third read and push up in the pocket and dump the ball off to a running back. You know, I saw him do some quote-unquote West Coast quarterback type things within their offense. And a lot of these quote-unquote spread offense guys, you don't see that. You see them find #1 and get the ball out, or maybe find #2, but you don't see them ever find the third option or check the ball down. There's a whole bunch of things that don't translate. I can cut out 50 plays from this past year, and you'll see things that will translate to the next level.
So, Coach Shaw, what is your philosophy on what college coaches are supposed to do? Win with the players right then and there in whatever system requires you to win right then and there, or get them ready for the next level professionally, knowing what that next level requires? You spent some time in the National Football League. Where do you stand on what your job as a college head coach is in football?
It's twofold. #1, graduate your players. #2, win games. And if they have the talent for the next level, hey, God bless them. You send them off, and hopefully they're ready maturity-wise for that. There are some systems that translate better than others. Technically, you can see on film. Ours would be one, of course. But as a college coach, you've got to get their skill set ready to play in your system so you can win games and they can enjoy their college experience. And if they have the talent and the ability, yes, they'll be able to translate and go maybe play in a completely different system. Maybe it'll take a year or two, but if they have the ability, once again, the NFL people, they're looking for ability and production. Right? Do you have the ability to play at the highest level of football with these guys that are not normal human beings, and can you be productive? So I would hate for a college coach to think that my #1 job is to get guys ready for that next level. Hey, if they have the talent and the ability and they can be productive, they'll get there, but we got to win games in college.
I'm chatting with Stanford head coach David Shaw, one of my desk mates on the first night of the draft 2 Thursdays from now on NFL Network, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What about Brett Hundley? What about his readiness from what you've seen from the UCLA kid in Pac-12 play?
So for so many people, I think in Southern California are kind of not happy about Brett Hundley's projected, is he the third or fourth or fifth quarterback in this draft? I take the exact opposite approach because he, to me, is in more of that spread offense category of, okay, you just don't see it on film, going through a progression and pushing up in the pocket. And, and these pockets in the NFL are not really pockets. They collapse really, really fast. So you got to be able to go through your progressions really quickly, slide, adjust in the pot, and make a quick decision to get the ball out accurately. But for Brett, for me, I think he's in a great position, right? If he's taken in the second, third round, that takes the pressure off of him. This is a guy that is a lot of clay. He's a good guy. He's a good kid. He's a hard worker. He is big. He's athletic, and he has a strong arm. He's the kind of guy you take in the third round, and you say, great, let me mold this kid for a year or two. And the end result could be special, but I think for him to be drafted early and be put out there really early might not be the best thing for him because he's one of those guys that he's got the tools, but you don't see on film like you do with Marcus necessarily, going through progressions very quickly, getting the ball out of his hands fast, throwing the ball into tight windows. But I think he's got the ability to do that, and I think he might take a little time to be able to show that.
Who's the best player that we're not talking about in the paparazzi here right now, Coach Shaw? Who's fallen off the radar that deserves to be front and center going into the first round of the draft?
That's so hard. That's so hard because there's so many guys out there. Mm-hmm. There's one guy in our conference that I don't think is getting talked about a lot, and that's Erik Hendricks down at UCLA. Mm-hmm. Boy, he is really good. People have talked about him being a second or third rounder, and I wouldn't be shocked if he fell late in the first, maybe early in the second. He's just a really good football player, quick and explosive and physical and hard to block. He's the kind of guy that has a really good college career, and you look 2 or 3 years in the NFL career and say, wow, he's having a better NFL career than college career. This guy can flat out play.
So when did you know Andrew Luck had it, David? When did you know that this kid was going to be the real deal and move on to doing what he's doing right now?
There were 3 points with Andrew. First, we watched the high school film, and it's really good. He said, okay, this guy's one of the best quarterbacks in high school in the country. And there's no question about it. And then the second time is once he came to camp before his senior year. Once he came to camp before his senior year, and I saw him throw live, and I saw his physical ability. I said, wow, this kid's special. Wow, I'm excited. This kid's going to be a phenomenal college football player. This is before his senior year. And then during his freshman year, he made one of those John Elway throws, right? Mm-hmm. From the left hash to the far sideline in college, which is a long throw. It was about 20 yards down the field, and his feet were not pointed in that direction, so it was across his body. And he flicked it, like you're throwing a dart, and the ball sailed. And it was one of those deals where Coach Harbaugh turned around and looked at me, and I looked at him, and we kind of shrugged our shoulders and said, "Oh my God!" Mm-hmm. That was the pure moment where I said, "Okay, this is not just the best college player on our team as a true freshman who's redshirting. This might be one of the best talents in all of college football." And nobody's going to know about it for another year because he's redshirting for us. But that's when we knew, okay, this ship is going to be huge.
Well, I mean, and now Jameis Winston is going to be the number 1 overall pick, most likely in an Andrew Luck spot. And everybody keeps saying off the field, you don't really know him based on everything that you've heard about off the field because he's smart enough to have gone to Stanford. And what was your recruitment of Jameis Winston, your involvement in that recruitment, what you saw in Jameis that we might not know about?
The thing is, there's a difference between being really smart academically, which Jameis is, right? You're very smart academically, and then being a little happy-go-lucky, energetic, positive, and maybe don't make the best crunch time decisions off the field, right? And I don't know if it's maturity, if it's just decision-making to me, which are 2 different things. Maturity and decision-making, sometimes they're connected, but sometimes they're separate. The thing with Jameis is not a bad person, right? And all these little things, they're silly, they're unnecessary, they're things that, because of who he is, gets blown out of proportion to a certain degree because he's right alongside all these other college kids who do the exact same thing, which hopefully Jameis understands now. The microscope is going to go up another couple magnitudes, right? You're not just a big deal down at Florida State and everybody's going to know who you are as Heisman Trophy winner. You're now going to be the big guy in Tampa. and everybody's going to know every move that you make. I mean, every time you step out of your house, you're going to be on Twitter, hey, I just saw Jameis Winston here. So there's no more leeway. And organizationally, and that's one thing that I met with him 3 weeks ago, I tried to get across to him, everybody, when you become that quote-unquote franchise quarterback, everybody in the franchise has their job tied to you, right? So it's no more just about you. It's about the entire franchise. They're investing a lot in not just your football ability, but your character and who you are. So, as I say, he's not a bad guy. I think he's a good person. I think hopefully he's grown through all these things, and to a certain degree, it's time to work hard and just play football.
Last question for you, Coach Shaw, Stanford head coach, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, former passing game coordinator at the University of San Diego and offensive coordinator at Stanford, all for Jim Harbaugh, who on tonight's HBO Real Sports is going to be described by Alex Boone of the 49ers as quote-unquote clinically insane. Is he clinically insane, David Shaw?
I do not have a medical degree, nor do I have a PhD in psychology or psychiatry. Jim is out there, right? Jim is who he is, and there's no hiding it. Everybody's seen it. This is who he is, and Jim drives people and he pushes people, and he is the most competitive person on the planet. That's just who he is. So he's going to rub some people the wrong way. He's going to find a way to win football games because that's what he does. Some people are going to wear him out, and Jim says that himself. He has a tendency to wear people out at times. But you get the good with the bad, and what you're going to get from Jim is 100 miles an hour from day one.
And I can't wait to that 100 miles an hour to show up in Columbus, Coach. I got to be honest with you, man.
I think that game might have a few viewers.
Hey, I can't wait to come hang with you in Chicago and hang with you at draft night on TV for sure, Coach. I look forward to it. You got to take care of yourself.
All right, you too, man.
Thanks. That's David Shaw.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.